fortunate enough for me, I was chosen to be on the television show called Survivor. And for those of you who do watch this show, you know it was being Jewish that helped me win, right? I mean, if you think about it, fasting really wasn't a problem. Do that once a year anyway. Eating nasty food, not a problem. I've had gefilte fish and borscht and chopped liver. For all my complaints about growing up Jewish, it was an important part of a process that helped mold my life, and the lessons I learned in my community did more than prepare me for my bar mitzvah. They gave me what I call real knowledge, you know, not book knowledge, not test-taking knowledge, not Torah knowledge, not Who Wins Survivor Season 30 knowledge, but rather knowledge about who you are, what you care about, and how you respond to challenges in your life. And while I was on the show Survivor, I won one of those reward challenges where I won these 2 goats. But I got to take these goats to this little village of Wamba. And before I left Wamba, I was hanging out in the parking lot of Wamba Hospital. And while I was there, you know, like all these little Kenyan children came out and they were touching my white skin, they were playing with my Jufro, you know, like they had never seen anyone like me before. And that's when I busted out this, a little mini soccer ball, hacky sack. And this was my one luxury item of choice. This is the one item you're allowed to bring from home that reminds you of your life away from the game of Survivor. So we all start playing soccer and kicking the ball around like we're speaking the same language, yet we're not speaking the same language, and we're sharing this moment, having this beautiful time. And before I left this parking lot, I asked one of the nurses, like, why are these kids just hanging out in the parking lot of a hospital? And she says, these are all the kids that are HIV positive. It's like, wow, here we go again. Here I am in the middle of this game, this cutthroat game of Survivor, and I had this real life experience. And it was at that moment I decided that something has to be done. Survivor did change my life. And living with barely enough food and water and television cameras for 39 days was torture. But the real challenge came when all of a sudden I had to figure out, what do you do when you suddenly win $1 million, right? I invested my money in something much bigger than myself. I co-founded a charity called Grassroots Soccer, and we use the power of soccer in the fight against HIV and AIDS. And so what Grassroots Soccer does is we train professional soccer players, coaches, peer leaders in the community with a curriculum about HIV and AIDS, and then we send them into the classroom to teach the youth about AIDS prevention. In Africa, every little kid wants to grow up to be a professional soccer player. You know, it's like hockey in Montreal, it's like football in Baton Rouge, it's like competitive plastic surgery in LA. You know, this is it, right? So you can imagine the impact when we take these professional players, these coaches, and send them into the classrooms. I mean, these kids, their eyes pop open, their jaws drop, and we end up changing their behavior so they can go out there and lead a healthy lifestyle. So just as I turned Survivor into an opportunity to help those in Africa, I decided to turn my personal cancer crisis into an opportunity to help everyone here at home by becoming a voice for this movement to lead a healthy lifestyle. And at first I really struggled whether I wanted to take this battle public, but I had a moment that changed everything, another moment. It was during my 4th chemotherapy treatment where I went to the Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York City with my mom, and we walked into the waiting room, and what punches me in the stomach, and it still does every single time, is that the waiting room is always full. It's just jam-packed, and we sit there like strangers, yet we're so connected by this horrible disease. And as my mom and I sat down there, we saw a woman that was sitting a few chairs down from us who was having a complete meltdown because her son had just been whisked away to start his treatment as well. So my mom stands up, walks over to this woman. She sits down next to her, puts her arm around her, and she says, hey, that's my son over there. He has cancer too, and it's going to be okay. While I'm certainly proud of winning Survivor and surviving, I'm more proud of knowing and understanding what it was that helped me win. My Jewish upbringing, and embracing that wholeheartedly, embracing that publicly, and embracing that personally. And we all draw strength from knowing that we're not fighting these battles alone, and I use the word we because I'm talking about the Jewish community. And with all our differences, man or woman, tall or short, old or young, we all share one thing in common. We're all survivors on this earth for a very short time. And it's not about how or when we leave this world, it's what we do to make the most of each day and each crisis while we're here.